welcome back to Salmon's Pizzeria Championship Roundup. It is a delight to be back this week for a wonderful, wonderful championship weekend. Of course, I am joined with our Partick Thistle associate, Kieran Ashton. How are you, Kieran?
I'm doing fine. Celebrating a win at the weekend. Obviously, spoiler alerts there. But aye, doing good. Not on here ranting and raving for once. So look forward to discussing my
You've
game,
got no, you've got
Thistle
no Chris
win,
Doolan. You've
and
got no Chris Doolan
all
to
the
rant
other
about.
action on the championship.
It's championship is wonderful, isn't it? And it's especially wonderful when you get results like Friday night. So, of course, we're going to start off with the Friday night game, the big one, the Fife Derby, best derby in Scotland, and of the weekend, the only team, only one of the home derbies to get a win. So, well, I'll take that. So, yeah, Fife Derby, Friday night, race against Dunfermline at Starks Park under the lights. And my God, what a time it was. Pars coming into this really just struggling for form. There was calls for Michael Tidser to be out after the Falkirk game after he's been in for, at the time, 7 league games. This is definitely not foreshadowing, but Wraith, meanwhile, a bit inconsistent. The last home game was a 4-0 loss against Queen's Park, which we're not going to talk about any further because I saw none of it. I was in the airport spoons drinking 1 pint because it's like a fiver. But the most recent game was a 0-0 draw away against Livingston, which I was able to watch, and I thought we were fine. So, I'll take that. And the tone for this game was set very quickly. Rovers have a free kick from about 25, 30 yards out, and Jamie Gollan hits the bar. This is about a minute in. And it was just, from that moment on, just all Rovers. Genuinely all Rovers. And it isn't until Dylan Easton plays just a wonderful, wonderful outside of the boot through ball to Finlay Pollock, who takes it around the Dunfermline keeper, slots it home with a sliding centre back, just missing completely. It's perfect scene. Finlay Pollock puts Rovers 1-0 up after 22 minutes. And it was just cruise control. Really,
Yeah,
just genuine cruise control for the rest of the half. It's like I don't think we really left their
no,
half.
absolutely not.
Just nothing from Dunfermline. Dunfermline offered absolutely nothing, apart from a strange incident where one of their players had to. So it's like one of the players had to go off because he was injured. He was getting his head bandaged up, but then another player had to go off again because like the printing on the back of his shirt had fallen off.
I didn't notice that. Wait, when was this?
This was like towards the end of the first half, but it's like I noticed it. I'm just like the back of his shirt is just white, and it's like they've got red numbers and lettering, so it's just like when it's gone. I
Yeah, absolutely.
just seen him go over, and it's like, hold on a minute, the print is falling off. I don't think I'd seen that before, like in person. Obviously, I've seen like the images of like Castor kits having like bits falling off,
Yeah,
but then again, it's Castor. What do you expect? But yeah, it was like I'd never seen that happen. Uh, Second half, meanwhile, opens up with Dunfermline having a shot on target. It was their only shot on target, and it was just, frankly, a bit of a pathetic pot shot from about 25 yards out.
yeah.
Just like I could have saved it, and but yeah, it's like 5 minutes, about like 10 minutes into the second half. Pollock's running down the wing, and David Witherspoon just comes flying in. It's like he wins the ball first, but the way he's gone in, it's like it's like dangerous tackle, that sort of
Yeah,
thing. So it's like a
definitely.
free kick to Rovers. Witherspoon gets booked. Josh Mullen whips it in to the back post where Paul Hanlon gets the wrong side of one of the Dunfermline players. I think it was McCann,
Hmm.
and manages to tap it home at the back post, and it's just beautiful scenes because obviously you got the Rovers players going out into the corner celebrating, and then you just see both the goalkeeper and like Benedictus and like three other defenders all just looking at McCann and just berating him, just like, what the fuck are you playing at? It's like Benedictus. It's like you just watch from like one of the angles where he's like motioning and shouting about just like heading the ball, like head the ball away. It's like he's talking to a child.
Aye.
It's like a children's
Oh.
coaching session where it's just like ball is in the air, head of it. Like that's the And again, from then on, it's like Dunfermline never looked like scoring it. It's like, yeah, they got the ball in the box a few times, but everything was either blocked or cleared or whatever. It's
Cleared away. Aye, it was.
any,
Dunfermline were shocking.
I
Like,
no chances.
yeah, like abysmal is what I've got written down in my notes. It, it wasn't. I don't think it was pretty in Rafe side, but again, it could have been. It could have been more than two. Obviously had Easton Skelton the bar. Was it Gullen? Easton or Gullen? The first
Gullen,
half.
Gullen in the first minute, yeah.
Gullen, aye, first minute, and uh, both goals as well. That you look at the goals they conceded, shambolic defensively, like really
Mm.
poor. Just an all round embarrassing display for Dunfermline. Especially considering it's a derby and where they are in the league at the moment. And they're in real danger of going down. There's a lot of talk of people think that Airdrie can catch them, and I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know if the gap's a bit too on the table for Airdrie, but if Pars are in the playoffs, I don't fancy them. I think they're shocking, and this has come for the same guy who was on the receiving end of Dunfermline fucking putting four past his team at home. So I mean,
Shows how bad
just
Dylan was.
yeah, it goes to show just how poor they've been since Airdrie. And obviously we'll probably go into Tidser getting his daughters today as we speak. But as you said early on, Pars fans are wanting him gone a week before he finally did get his daughters. I mean, it's not looking good for Dunfermline at all at the moment.
Yeah, it's like during after the second goal, it's like you were able to hear really loudly the Rovers fans singing "Down with the Airdrie."
Yeah,
It's like it genuinely feels that
it's
way.
either that or it's just a chorus of boos for the Pars end that you could hear that loud. I was watching on the telly, watched it live, and the amount of boos and cheering for the Pars end was deafening, to be honest. Uh, See when your fans are booing even and it's not even half time yet, and you're just getting booed off the park before half time. That's when you know you're in deep shit. You know what I mean?
Aye. I know it's like before the during like the opening stages of the game when like the crowd is at its highest, it's like, we're
Mhm,
looking and I think it's like we're thinking this is a really poor Pars support.
mhm,
And I think it's like when it came to like the final attendance, there was only about 1,300 who made it along, and it's like
mhm.
at first we're just like that's just pathetic or whatever, but then it's like by half time we're just like I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I don't blame them for only bringing that many because they were absolutely terrible. But it's like after the game, Michael Tidser, he didn't do the post match interview, but he did do the pre match one. And
and he sounded
it's
perfectly
like the
fine.
excuse was that he lost his voice, and it's a case of how, like he must have lost it in the dressing room at half time or something. Because see the second half, I don't think he left his seat. I don't. I swear to God, I
too
don't remember
busy, too
seeing him
busy
like
gobbing
on the
snuffs.
touchline or
To be
whatever.
honest, on the
And it's
on the
like there's a
touchline.
shot of him with like his hands just like that or whatever. It's just like he looked like he was just he'd just been told like his Chinese was late or whatever. And he's just he just looked so depressed.
I get told there's chalk
He,
ices in the
he's
freezer.
just like I left Kelty when they were high flying for this. And just to make matters worse, as mentioned, today, as of recording on the Monday, Monday morning, Michael Tidser was sacked, and it was reported by the news about like 3 or 4 hours before Dunfermline actually finally got around to putting out an official statement. So Michael Tidser's legacy with Dunfermline is it took them about a week to sort out compensation with Kelty, and he lasted 59 days. And
That's
in that
insane.
time, they played 11 games, and they got knocked out of the Challenge Cup by Livingston, knocked out of the Scottish Cup by Aberdeen.
Yeah,
In the league, they got 6 losses, 2 draws, and 2 wins. And of those, no, 6 losses, 2 draws, and 2 wins. That's his total time. And of those 8 league games, they only scored in 2 of them. And
insane.
it's like all 5 of their goals, I think, were Chris Kane. And it is just, and it's like, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, maybe he didn't really get like a transfer window or something. It's like even in like the time that he was at the club, they brought in like 10 players from down south,
Yeah.
and like half of them had. It's like I couldn't tell you the names of them. It's like they all came
Mm-hmm.
from like Premier League academies or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they just did not look up for it at all.
Thank the gaffer.
And they were
Yeah.
just,
Aye, fucking.
and it is genuinely becoming a point where it's like that down with the Airdrie song. It's just like that's gonna happen. That is going to happen. And it is a case of it's like who is going to take this job? Because they're fucked.
Yeah. Aye,
It's like
definitely.
even if Airdrie don't catch them, um, in the playoffs they're going to go down
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
if Airdrie get into that playoff spot, I can see them staying up because they'll have the momentum. Whereas if Dunfermline or as we get onto later Hamilton end up in that spot, they're going down
Yeah.
because they're just shit.
I'd have been pissed, but I don't see. I don't see them having that fight that's needed to stay up in the championship in the playoffs. If they do, be a fucks to them, but I don't know how they'll magic that one out their arse. It's not looking good for Dunfermline at the moment. Very very bleak. And I seen it when I saw the result. When after the result on Friday night, I was like, Dunfermline are incredibly lucky. Airdrie had a bad start that they did. If they did, uh, in an alternate dimension, Dunfermline are right down there. They're in Airdrie's position at the moment, and it's
Yeah, it's
tough
like if
tough
Airdrie
times
didn't
ahead for
have like a
them.
Brecon-esque start, then it's like
Yeah,
Dunfermline and Accies are just fighting to not get automatic
yeah,
relegation. That's what it is. That's what it would be this season. But yeah, it's just like when it comes to like names being floated around, you've got like there's like I'd seen being mentioned Stuart Kettlewell. He won't go down. He won't go to Dunfermline.
no,
You've got who else is available? Ian Murray is available. Chris Doolan, he's recently been sacked. I don't know if either of them will go for it. And then try to think, it was who was it that was complaining about Motherwell's hiring Michael Vimmer? It was Peter Grant, wasn't it?
hmm,
And he was saying about how it's like when he was asked if he had applied for the Motherwell job, he said no, clubs should come to me. I think Dunfermline should go for Peter Grant. Just because the last time Dunfermline got relegated, Peter Grant was a major part of the reason. So I think it's just like if they just want to run it back, it's like the new owner is like this big poker player, big gambling guy, and it's just like you gotta throw the dice on some gambles. It's like please. Oh yeah, the cartoon that the Romans put out with the four aces card with the Dunfermline owner at the other end
yeah.
of the table crying his eyes out. It's like, yes, we're so back.
I get asked about that because I retweeted it saying that you've got to respect the piss boy on that every. I mean, my team's been on the receiving end of the Rafe Rovers full time cartoon post on
We still get
numerous
Dundee
occasions, I
United
think.
fans complaining.
But I get asked about it, and they were like, "Oh, so what's the story behind it?" And I'm like, "Look, you'd have to ask a Rafe Rovers fan. I think it was ever since the Dundee United kind of title race, really. That's kind of started. But Callum, if you want to go more in depth about the story behind the cartoon thing.
So it's like the cartoon started last season because it was like a part of like a new. So it's like when so it's like the new board when they came in. It's like they basically did like a whole bunch of like revamping stuff. It's like they massively improved the media,
Hmm.
especially with the social media as well. And so it's like you get like a pre-match cartoon poster, and then it's like we'll have a post-match cartoon graphic for when we win. This isn't something that we invented; other clubs do it, and
Yeah.
so it's just a case of why not? It's something different. Not I don't think any other Scottish football clubs do it, and now other Scottish football clubs are doing the same thing. Although I will say this about Queens Park: for you guys using AI, use a shite bags. Like I know that we're like I'm more than happy to be called for people to be annoyed about Reef Rovers posting cartoons for when we win because like that's sort of the point. But it's just like at least we hire an artist. At least we hire someone who can pick up a pencil. It's like using generative AI is for bastards, and I will I will not take it.
So there you go. That person that asked me about it, DM me. There you go.
There you go.
That answer was for you.
There you go. We did it because it's
But
funny.
because I generally didn't have the answer as well. I knew it was like last season when you were up there with Dundee United fighting for the title.
Aye,
And it obviously boiled their fans' piss and that to the point where Dundee United fans are now preying on Raith Rovers' downfall.
aye. It's so
So
funny. It's like even
yeah,
though a year later, they're
you've got
still
to
going
respect
at it.
it. If you're rather whether if you're on the receiving end of it or not. But
Aye, it's
as
like
I
when I put
suppose in it.
out. Aye, it's like when I
So
put out a
then
couple of
if you
tweets this
get a
week.
result over Raith or you beat Raith, then you get a chance. If you get a chance, they give it right back to them. But
Exactly.
yeah, as we've seen, I think there was Falkirk done it or something. There was a bit of to
I
and
think it's
fro
like
with the
Falkirk. I think
Falkirk and
Air
Raith
as
media as
well. I
well.
think Air
Media
as
team.
well have done it. It's like taking the
Hmm.
piss out of the cartoons. And it's like, yeah, sure, fuck it, fair enough, fair play. You know,
Yeah,
it's like if you're gonna put a target, if you're gonna like give shit out there, it's like you got to take it. You know,
yeah, absolutely. It's the
but yeah,
name of
it's
the
still
game.
really funny when it's like I think it's like this week when I went out calling Rangers fans and Celtic fans and whatnot like just weird, and they were just like, and it's just like I'd end up getting comment. It's like all like the comments coming from Rangers and Celtic fans, but then it's like Dundee United fans are coming in saying Reef Rovers are more embarrassing, and I'm just like, lads, it's been a year. You're like fighting for Europe.
Yeah,
Let it go. Just
it's not like you just won the league or anything like that as well. They
I
did.
know
I
it's
mean,
like we're
it's
just
not like
down
they've
in
got a
mid-table in the championship.
legitimate
We're
reason to get
back to
pissed.
where we normally are.
Yeah,
You don't need to do this. No, it's it's a right laugh. Um, so yeah, so that's um, Rafe and Dunfermline out the way, and we go into the next match involving a relegation threatened side and a team fighting for that final playoff spot. We have Hamilton Accies against Greenock Morton. So as mentioned, Morton they're still in that hunt, although it's like they did win their game last weekend, but it's like they were lost like three on the bounce or something like that. Akis are just shit.
yeah.
They're just bad. But then it's like this first half, and it's like it could have been 1 or 2 nil to Akis at half time.
Hmm.
There was just multiple opportunities for them, and there was like a couple of it's like there was a goal line clearance, a double save from Mullen, and it's like for that first half, it was all Akis just watching the highlights.
I definitely. I think Aki's would be pretty disappointed not to be not heading into heading into the first half break, the second the half time break. Not a goal to the good, maybe even 2 goals to the good. They started the game the brighter. But it's Hamilton we're talking about here. They're not having a good season as well. There's about 4 or 5 teams not having a good season, and they're one of them. And it's one of the ones where you've just when the chances come, they've got to take them, or else they're going to regret it. And that was certainly the story of this game.
And it's like they would come to real those chances because as the second half went on, it's like Morton got more and more into the game, and then
Mm.
Cammy Key with a volley inside the box after 86 minutes gives Morton the lead, and it's at that point where you're just like, well, that's it, that's Morton
Mm.
got the win. Of course, Cammy Blues then scores a free kick 10 minutes later. 96 minutes listed as, by the way. I'm just wondering what on earth led there to be so much added time. Unfortunately, we don't have Aiden, who I don't think was at the game anyway, but he would probably know. And But yeah, so Morton get a much needed win, and like the full time booing was exceptional. And
Everybody loves a good boot of football.
it's like as someone who knows one of like the 300 Accies fans that exist, and it's absolutely warranted because like Accies are an absolute shambles on and off the pitch. Like they really, really are, and it's like so. It's like the Accies fans were going at the board of directors again. They were going on about ranking again, and they were cheering Dougie Imrie because obviously Dougie played Accies for years. It's like I don't. It's like it's like if you'd asked me like 2 years ago, what club do you associate Dougie Imrie with? I would probably have still said Accies because I
Keys,
just
yeah,
remember him
definitely.
spending. I think he was there for like a decade or something mad like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember Dougie Imrie, Accies, Premiership, just being a bunch of cockroaches, just refusing to die. But yeah, it's just like the saying about Michael Tidser getting sacked, and we'll get onto another sacking later on. But it's like, how on earth does John Rankin still have a job at Accies? Because I can't remember if I've mentioned this before in this podcast, but it's like his win record is like it's like the Accies board. It's like they came out saying, "Oh yeah, John Rankin has like a 55 to 60% win ratio at his time as a club." It's like the vast majority of those wins have been in League One
Yeah.
over his 3 seasons. It's like in the Championship, his win rate. I think it's like last time I'd seen it was at like 24%, and that was like a month ago or something. So it's probably like even further down, and we're probably at about 20%. It's it's just really bad.
Aye. Nah, they're not good. Obviously, they beat us in October, but even then, I mean, that was just down to us being our dog shit that game. Um, Probably, like, we've had a few defeats this season. It's probably up there with one of the worst. And I think they had their chance on goal that game, and that was it. But any other time apart from that game, really, any time I've seen Hamilton, they've been dreadful. We beat them 5-1 at Farrell, and to be fair, we weren't even that good that day either. We gifted them a goal. They gifted us one or I think they gifted us one or two goals that game as well, and it did feel like a 5-1, but the Stackies are. But I know a few Accies fans as well, and they're telling me how bad it is at the moment. And then they're generally worried as well if they slip down, into playoffs, they're down. But I mean, it'll be an interesting fight. You can add even probably add Queens Park to the list of teams that are on the verge of being in a fight for survival. Which will also will go on to their game with Falkirk in a bit, but it's not looking good. I think I generally can't remember a time when Accies fans didn't want ranking it this season, or because I think even in League One they were.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like they were
Uh,
wanting it gone in League One.
they were wanting them out in League One, so and the guy got them promoted, so it just shows you how bad things are at Accies at the moment, and you know you're trying to think when does it end, but I, I don't know if they stay up then. Did they go after that? Did they give him a 10-year contract extension for keeping them up this season? Be very funny if they did, mind you. So But the even off the pitch as well for years they've been a shambles, and
I think
you
on one
don't
of the
see any sign
I
of
think
it
on one of
stopping.
the previous podcasts I mentioned about how like they're off pitch shenanigans, about how it's very reminiscent of Inverness and their recent struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And and if you want to know how bad Accies are doing on the pitch, is like Reef have lost to every team in the championship apart from Accies, and we could. It's like we won two of our games, and it's like the one that we did draw, we bottled it badly from like 3-1 up. So it's like we could have very easily had 3 wins from 3 against Accies, and for that to be a case, and it's just like wow, it's like we still have to play them again in a couple of weeks, but it's one of those where it's like every other team I feel is I'm just like yeah, well, I'm just I'm going into Wraith games like whenever we're playing anyone, I'm just sort of like yeah, I'm optimistic for a win, but we know who this is. They'll probably try. They've got the capacity to make a result. I do not have that confidence in Accies at all, like at all. It's like we don't play Dunfermline again. It's like before the derby. It's like I was 100% confident we were going to win because I was just like, yeah, Reef are not great,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like they're even worse. And Accies are very firmly in that category as well, where it's just like you're not losing to them. There's just no chance of you losing to them.
Definitely, I think even in the 2-1 game as well, when again we weren't um, the best really, but they were poor. And again, I think they are fortunate that Airdrie and Dunfermline are as bad as they are, but don't know. You never know what happens. This league's a funny old league, you know what I mean? It's a funny old division. Anything can happen. And again, another Dunfermline can pick up points. Airdrie can pick up points and catch Dunfermline, and Hamilton can find themselves right back down there. It's not good. It's not a good time to be an Accies fan, for
It's like
those who are Accies fans.
I thought you were saying about like Queens Park, and again we'll get onto them later, but it's like I don't think they're in that fight yet.
Aye,
Not quite yet.
not quite yet, but
But it's like there is
I know a few
there's
Thistle
7
fans that
games to go, so it's like they
yeah,
could find themselves in it, but it's
aye,
unlikely just due to the fact it's like it's it's not a case of how bad is Queens Park. It's more of a case of can Accies, Dunfermline, and Airdrie pick up enough points to catch Queens Park, and that's
yeah,
where my doubts are because it's like with Accies and Dunfermline, yes, it's currently sitting at 5 and 6 points to Queens Park, but I'm just like I don't see them picking up even that many points till
yeah.
the end of the season.
I know a few people that are like they've got a few Queens Park friends who support Queens Park, and they think they're they're in a relegation fight. And even I was like, but when
No, no.
yeah, I
It's
was
like
like, no,
these
like
lot are just
they're surely
bad.
not that bad. But
They're like
I mean,
another level.
I did see them Tuesday night. I went to the first game Tuesday night. Queens Park were really poor. They offered absolutely nothing. And obviously we'll go into the Queens Park Falkirk game later on. But they've got some substance to what they're saying. But I don't know. I think that's a bit an overreaction. But it's
Yeah,
they're not good either.
I think it's a case of like when Queens Park come up against Hamilton, Dunfermline, and Airdrie again, then it's like we'll really find out if they're in
Hmm.
the chip really because it's like I feel like it's like yeah, Queens Park are bad. Please ignore the 4-0, but it's just like there is another level with
Hmm.
Accies and Dunfermline, and it's like Airdrie are only in that level because of how terrible their start was. It's like
No,
they're almost in a false position at this point, considering how
definitely.
they've been since the turn of the year. It's like I think there was a point. I think it was coming into the game in Airdrie against Reef, where it was a case of Reef of the last 5 or 6 games were third in the form table, and Airdrie were sitting second in it. So it just shows how well they've performed
Definitely.
in like these past couple of months. But then it's like that absolutely horrendous run to start off the season might be what does them in.
Yeah.
I suppose we should go on to A more happier note though, because next up we have Partick Thistle against Ayr United. Kieran, were you at the game, I believe? Or
I was at the game, yes. It was fantastic. The sun was shining. Thistle were winning. So always good in the world. Um, it was good. It could have been. It wasn't pretty. The game wasn't pretty. I thought. But obviously we got the 3 points, and that's what matters. Firstly, Chalmers' goal to put us 1-0 up was well worked. It was a lovely flick on from Graham to feed through Chalmers to slot it past the Ayr United keeper. But I've got to say, Megwa deserves credit for keeping the ball alive moments before it in the air, and managed to keep the ball alive, and that's how the kind of move started. But and then before we know it, we're 2-0 up, and we're in dreamland. Looking at Best fires a shot past the Ayr United keeper, and we're like, what's going on? Our eyes are deceiving us, you know what I mean? But I getting into the game, I don't know if I wasn't confident. Obviously, we played well on Tuesday night, but Queen's Park were really poor. I've got to say that. But I was like, look, this is Ayr United, a different kettle of fish. They're in obviously they're top three, but they're like probably the last team, the last decent team in the league before it kind of just filters down to the rest of the shite in the league. Um, but they offered absolutely. Apart from they had a free header. Cole McKinnon had a free header that went over the bar, and that's pretty much all he had to offer really. Budanowskis has really had nothing to do in a Thistle jersey as of yet. He's conceded 2 goals, albeit, but um, he's he's looked good, but again, he's had nothing really to do, and that's credit to our defence. Dan O'Reilly's been absolutely excellent, who is player of player of the season contender, I would say. Another player as well, Logan Chalmers is player of the season contender as well. That's him now, got 7 goals, 10 assists. He's scored against every team in the league this season now. Um, and he's got 17 goal involvements, so all in. So he's been fantastic. He had struggled at the start of the season, but he's come onto his game in the last ever since October, I would say. Really, he's been fantastic. But there's a good few players that are contention, but again, obviously, can't look past Brian Graham and his goals that he scored for us. But um, aye, there's a good few players that are starting to come on their game now, and it's looking good for us. It could have been 3, maybe 4. I know Josh Reed had a goal, had a chance. Sorry, cleared off the line towards the end of the match, but I am not going to grumble at all. Ayr United did have the pressure and all the pressure towards the end, putting balls in the box and whatever, but it had corners and blah 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 blah. But I, it was cigars out, slippers on kind of performance. Ashcroft, Dan O'Reilly, and there's absolutely we're winning absolutely everything in the air. But I thought Megwa as well. I'm going to give a shout out to Megwa as well. I thought he was for all the criticisms he's had. Really, the vast majority of this season, he was really good on Saturday. He's just his final ball was still pretty poor, but defensively he was really good on Saturday. I felt, and look, Macbeth as well, who on Tuesday night as well absolutely showed it against Queens Park, and again he adds a goal to his game on Saturday, and he was an absolute rock at the back. So things are looking good. Certainly better than it was at least even a month ago. Especially after the defeats to Ayr and Rafe. You know, it was it was poor, and I was generally fearing about falling out of the playoffs. And obviously, again, nothing's confirmed yet. I don't want to, put all my eggs in one basket at the moment, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll probably just finish in fourth place, but again, you never know. I'm not going to say anything as of yet, but I'm a lot more confident than what I was a month ago. So I just a really good day at the office. I felt for us, and I again, as I said, wasn't pretty, but we got the 3 points, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it does feel it's like there's 7 games left, and you got a 7 point gap to Morton and Rafe. Although again, the two of us have got a game in hand. Granted, it's against each other, and then as we'll go on to, but the future fixtures next week is Thistle against Rafe. So it's a case of if Thistle do get the victory on Friday, in which case I will not be very happy, and I won't be on this podcast. Uh, it does feel as like it's like it's a case of getting there just in time, just like getting to a point where it's like just through lack of games you're going to be able to hold on to fourth.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's like my final note for the game is I believe we have mentioned this before about how Partick Thistle only allow people who pay for Jag Zone, I think it's called,
Jagzone, yeah.
to watch the match highlights and how this can be a bit of a pain in the arse. Well, the only highlights that I was able to get for this were from Air United, obviously, because that's the away team. And their highlights were not even 3 minutes long. And the highest quality I could have it in was 480p.
Jesus.
And it's just like, this is a game in 2025, and I'm watching it like I have genuinely seen Reef Rovers highlights from 2009 in higher quality than this. It's like, how do you even have a modern day camera that has 480p? It's like, how has that happened? It's like, did they just were they just like there and it's like, oh no, we don't have a camera, right? Just use someone's phone, but it's like the phone is like an iPhone 3 or something.
I know, yeah,
It
brick.
was like edited on GarageBand or something. It's like what? I was actually baffled because I'm like I managed to get like some notes down for it, but I'm just like it's like I'm having to like go back again and just be like, right, what has actually happened here? Because it's like sometimes the ball you can't see because it's about 6 pixels on my screen. So I Thistle allow the people to see the highlights who aren't paying you, and Air, please, for the love of God, get a better camera.
I know, definitely. Just, I think I said it on the broadcast. I think it was the last time Thistle played here, to be honest. At
Aye.
home, was it at home or away? I can't mind.
I think it was the
But
last home game we brought it up.
last, yeah, yeah. When it was like we've had Jagzone for years, and it's behind a paywall for years, and it's. I think Thistle fans are getting sick of it just as much as
I
don't know
am.
who's wanting to watch Thistle versus Ayr, and well, apart from people that have to, Gal. But it's I think we're the only team in the championship in the division that
He's probably the
have
only
their
team in the
highlights behind a
SPFL. I
paywall.
swear to God, you're the only team in the SPFL who have like the highlights behind the paywall.
Paywall, yeah. So you're like, I don't know if we're planning on it. I mean, I'm subscribed to Jagzone because I mean it's the only kind of way you're going to see watch our highlights. Every week. Not that I want to watch some of our highlights most weeks, but it's I can only share your frustration. There's people that are because that's an extra added on cost to a season ticket as well. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit embarrassing to be honest.
It's like we now go on to probably the game of the weekend, and it's not one I think anyone would have expected. It's Airdrie against Livingston. Now, as mentioned, Airdrie have seen a bit of a resurgence, and Livingston were going into this on a bit of an unbeaten run, but it was a case of they'd drawn the last two games. And my word, what a game this was. So it opens up with Shinnie lobbing the Airdrie keeper, but it just hits the bar like really early on. But then McMaster manages to give Airdrie a lead 22 minutes in. But then, like 3 minutes later, Robbie Muirhead with a free kick that goes under the wall but ends up deflected. Like 2-3 minutes later, it's 1-1, and then not even 10 minutes after that, McGatton's making a run through the middle. He manages to beat like two or three Livingston players and hits the post, but Ben Wilson's there and to make it 2-1 to Adrian with 32 minutes in, and Livingston's had like a couple of chances towards the end of the half, but weren't able to find that equaliser. And again, second half, come up the gates, and they're all over Edry. I swear to God, Edry didn't have a highlight in that second half for the longest time. But Danny Wilson was able to equalise, headed from a corner, 62nd minute, and then Stephen Kelly with a really nice finish
It
from
was a
20
really
yards
nice
out
one,
manages
just
to
outside the box.
just outside the
Right foot.
box, manages to curl it bottom corner, 76th minute. But then Liam McStravick from in just like a goalmouth scramble, a stramash as I like to call it, 85th minute gets the equaliser, and then Robbie Muirhead right at the death is denied by Melrose, and it finishes 3-0 in like an incredible game. And although I did see a clip from Twitter of Robbie Muirhead's attempted murder of the goalkeeper that apparently isn't in, for whatever reason, wasn't in the Livingston highlights. And I can't remember if someone said it was a red card or not, but evidently it wasn't. Otherwise, it would have been in the Livingston highlights. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I was waiting for it to like come up so I could see again what happened, and it just didn't. And I'm just like, all right then, okay, thanks Livingston. But yeah, it's a very, very good point for Airdrie when you consider where the two teams are in the table. Livingston way up in second with more than double Airdrie's points, and they managed to come away with a hard fought draw.
Definitely, aye. It was a fantastic end-to-end game. Obviously, Livy in the second half had probably the better share of the shot, the chances, and probably deserved to win like off the back of that. But aye, to Airdrie's credit, they played well, they dug in, and they're probably gutted not to win as well, considering you score three at home, you're expected to win. But it's just the stories of every season. Going forward, they look good. They look good going forward, but they just can't seem to defend, and they can't keep the ball at the back of their net, and can't keep Wayne's at a close. You know what I mean? And it just leads to it's why they're down where they are at the end of the day. But either you're seeing a bit of resurgence for Airdrie, and we had them down and out by I think it was Christmas time, and
November.
I mean,
It was
yeah,
about
literally
November. We
everyone
were
did.
just like, this is like Greek form.
Yeah,
We were
but
questioning if they were going to get double digits.
but they fought back, and I mean they've kept themselves in it, but it's their defence that's letting them down. You know what I mean? You can't score three goals at home and not win the game. You know what I mean? That's just that's just nature of the beast, I suppose. But it's the Airdrie will be happy with a point more than Livy, definitely. Livy could have won it in the death, as you said, Callum. But it's suppose it's a really good point for Airdrie.
It's like you were saying about the defense and how poor they are. It's like I was about to say, Airdrie comfortably have the worst defense in the league, and I was like, they do still have the worst defense in the league, but now they've only conceded three more goals than Hamilton. And I'm just seeing that, and I'm just like, wait, hold on, Accies have conceded 53 goals. I was like, where has that come from? It's like they've been like sitting in December with like nearly zero goal difference, but that's just because they were like second for goals scored. But no, it's just like the goals are dried up at Accies. That's probably where it is, and it's just a continuation of their form. I didn't realize. I genuinely just realized how bad Accies' defense actually is now. it's it's like going through the league, and I've just seen it's like after Accies, the team with the next most goals conceded are Queens Park and Dunfermline on 37. It's like it's like that's a what 50. That's a 16 goal jump from them two to Accies, and then another three to Airdrie. It's like that is shocking.
Same time, but does not surprise me considering Hamilton Accies have got fucking Sean McGinty in their defence. You know what I mean? So
It's like
I mean,
how do Accies have like a squad of about 35 players and they don't have a single good defender outside of Reagan Tumulty, who for some reason doesn't get game time now. It's like what is this team? But it's like a very, very valuable point for Airdrie is with that they're now only 6 points off of Dunfermline and 7 off of Accies, and it's like you really do feel like it's like there's 7 games left, and I believe Airdrie do still have to play Accies and Dunfermline again. It's doable.
definitely the
It's
Great Escape
definitely
is on.
doable. Especially with the way Accies and Dunfermline are going.
Yeah,
It's like it's like the gap was genuinely about like 15 points or something like 2 months ago, and now it's 6. And we were here just was like, yeah, Edric could stay up. And it's just,
yeah. If
it's,
you fast forward to like, I probably listened to the episodes of the podcast just before Christmas time, and you're like, I mean, as did everybody else, we were like, yeah,
it's like,
they're
here's
done.
Edric
They're
on like
like,
6 points at Christmas. It's like, if you had
yeah,
said that then, it's like, oh yeah, Edric will stay up. It'll just be like, all right, who's got a point deduction?
yeah. Aye, but it's fair enough. But aye, Dunfermline and Accies will be shitting themselves. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's again, it's games against each other it's going to count. And out of them all, I can see Airdrie coming out top of them all. If you're looking at form, um, I Dunfermline are dog shit, and Accies are just as bad, if not worse. Um, and Airdrie will probably fancy himself to at least I don't know get out the bottom spot. And they've got every right to.
It's like, as I was saying about Dunfermline's issues for going forward, it's like Airdrie and Dunfermline are also tied when it comes to the least amount of goals scored at 26, which, considering Airdrie's recent form, and it just shows like how bad that start of the season was. It's like Dunfermline have just been flatlining. As mentioned, it's like the last 8, they've like the 8 league games on the Tidser, they scored 5 goals and they were in 2 games, and it's just it's just like somehow Airdrie are going to stay up, and that is that is a terrifying prospect when you consider when you consider like the entire like up until about January they just looked like so gone. I think I had this. It's I think I was like looking at League Two and seeing Bonnie Rig went bottom like a couple of weeks ago. It's like, hold on a minute, fourth of like 8 points off the bottom.
Yeah.
How's this happened? It's just like
But
I feel like
obviously, Bonnie
it's
Rig
like if
have
you had someone in a coma from
yeah
like Christmas until now, and or like the end of the season, and Airdrie have stayed up, and they're just like, how has this happened? it's like, it's mad.
nice.
I just can't believe that. It is like they honestly, it's like if after this start of the season, Airdrie stay up, and it's like if any, it's like whoever it is of Dunfermline and Accies that finish bottom should just like be kicked out the SPFL, just like disbanded as a club, and I feel like the fans would be happy about that. But yeah, it's like we go on to our final game, and this might be the most one-sided game we will ever have to cover. Because oh my god, oh god, it's Queens Park against Falkirk, and this was a training match for Falkirk. It's
Aye.
like we covered like Falkirk beating Morton like 6-0 earlier on in the season. And even then, I don't think Morton played as bad as what Queen's Park did in this one. It
It
was
was four. It was four going on 8, even 9. I mean, you had
it
a
was like
goal chopped
full,
off.
it's like full time was 4-0. It's like that could have been the score at half time.
Yeah,
It's like going through my notes. It's like I got Barney Stewart scoring from a corner, but it was disallowed for offside. You then have two goal line clearances in about 10 seconds.
aye,
Brad Spencer with the worst penalty I've seen at Hampden so far this season, and I am including Lewis Jameson's one that managed to like squeeze under Callum Ferry somehow because like he just hit it like directly in the middle. It was like playing FIFA, and it's like your left joystick or whatever isn't working when you got a penalty, so it's just like the penalty just goes right in the center of the goal. It's like I don't. It might have been like the easiest save Callum Ferry would have had to make, but yeah, it's like Henderson finally gives Falkirk a lead in the 43rd minute, and then um, and then it's like from a ball going across into like the back post, and then halftime comes, second half comes around, and immediately ball comes across goal, and Calvin Miller and not Gary Oliver, who came on in the first half, he's there at the back post. Not even 10 minutes later, Calvin Miller with an incredible finish in like a
yeah,
really awkward position, manages to get it past Callum Ferry, and then it's like Tom Lang scores from a looping header, like not even a minute after Callum Ferry makes a brilliant save from a Tom Lang free header, and again it was just Falkirk. I think like the stats for it said that Falkirk had 23 shots in that game, whereas Queens Park had one shot and none on target.
it just shows you how bad Queens Park are. But I mean,
And
it's not a
it's
slight
like
on Falkirk to be fair.
it's like the
But
Falkirk TV highlights were 10 minutes long, and it was all Falkirk.
aye,
It's just like, and it's not even a case of I'm just being biased. No, it's like Queens Park genuinely did nothing. So it's like whatever Queens Park shot was, and considering it was off target, it was just like, what on earth happened?
it was. As I said, it was a four going on 8, even 9. Could have been 4-0 at half time. Um, it just shows you how bad Queens Park are. We'll probably just touch on it briefly, but obviously Callum Davidson got the boot, and you can honestly justifiably see why. It doesn't look good at all, and I know some Queens Park fans that I know from people that I know, and they're worried about slipping down the league and potentially getting dragged into a relegation fight. But I think they're just above that. They're not, as you said, Dunfermline or Airdrie bad. Well, not Airdrie bad at the moment now, but Dunfermline are Accies level of being utter shit. But I Falkirk strolled it in it. Honestly, it could have been massacre if it wasn't for Ferry, and um, he kept the scoreline for being double figures, and that's not.
It's not an
Um,
exaggeration.
yeah, it's not an exaggeration at all. Um, but it wasn't good at all. Aye, just Falkirk completely stole it.
It's like after the game, Callum Davidson got given the boot not long after, and for a lot of people who don't pay attention to the championship, this seemed like a bit of a shock because obviously it's like a month ago. It's like they beat Rangers at Ibrox, but then it's just like if you have been paying attention, it's just sort of like it was the same with when Ian McCall got sacked by Partick when it's just like they just come off that 3-2 defeat at Ibrox where they played really well, and it's like you have people being like, "Oh, what they sacked that? What they done that for?" But it's just like if you're someone who pays attention to the championship and pays attention to Queens Park, you realise they have been terrible for like the
I mean,
past 2 3 months. It's like
before that game away to Rangers, Cal, we lost back to back against Cove and Hamilton at home, who were
uh,
relegation fodder that season. Both of them went down. That just
I like Queens have been
Yeah.
awful, and of course it's definitely not helped by
Uh-huh.
the board with their transfer decisions, with getting rid of Dom Thomas and Rui Payton, and the moment those two transfers happened, and it's like they didn't really bring anyone in to replace them. I was just like, it's like seeing that you're just like, who do Queens Park have up front? It's like, how are Queens Park going to get goals? It's like, aside from the 4-0 when it starts, where everything just seemed to go wrong for Rafe, it's been terrible at Queens Park. And like, this result is like, this is on the, it's like, I don't want to say it's harsh on Callum Davidson because, as mentioned, it's like the board aren't exactly helping, but it's been poor. It's been really, really poor from Queens Park this season. It's like there was definitely, it's like they had that, it's like a couple seasons ago when it's like they were going into the final day against Dundee, think with a chance to go to the Premiership, and now it's like since then it's just been dropping down. It's like they were close to going down last season, sort of. It's like it was them and Inverness fighting out for that final playoff spot, and now this season it started off all right, just sort of fourth, fifth around there with Thistle, whilst Reef, Morton, and whoever else are like us lot down here with like trying to not die. But now they've been like dragged into that fight. It's like originally it was a case of okay, there's like a 4-way fight for fourth, and it's like Queens Park have just dropped, and it's like they're very much in the middle ground right now. It's like we're about. It's like I might as well just go through the table now. But Falkirk is like with Falkirk's win and the other results, they're on 63 points, and they're now 8 points clear of Livingston. And with 7 games left, you just feel like that's it. You feel like that's Falkirk won the league with these results. Granted, they still have to play. I think they do still have to play Livingston. They definitely still have to play Air, but it does feel like that's it. Falkirk have won the league. They've gone back to back, and it's like, as much as I hate to say it, fair play to them. It's like clearly it's like that new board that they got last year has worked wonders because it's like the previous ones were just shambolic.
Aye,
And it was
definitely.
kind of funny. But it's like it shows the work that they've done, and John McGlynn, fair play to him. I've always rated him as a manager. I've had my criticisms saying about how he does have like a tendency to sort of fall off in the second half, but it's like second half, it's not happened. There was like a slight blip around about January, and aside from that, they're just relentless. It's just they've won this league, and that really,
And they can win
really
it.
annoys me.
They can win it at Firhill on the second last game of the season as well.
It's,
So I don't look forward to that. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they either wrap it up before then or we beat them because
it
can't
is
deal with
time to check
that.
Falkirk. Time to check Falkirk's fixtures to see if they can hold on. They can no, they could win the league against us. I do not want. Please don't have that happen. I will, God, Josh would be absolutely insufferable, but I wouldn't blame him. um, but yeah, so I say Falkirk now 8 points clear of Livingston, who are on 55 points. Ayr sitting third, 54 points. It's very much between Livingston and Ayr for them. It's now a case of getting second and avoiding that extra playoff tie because that is like no one, no one gets anywhere if they're finishing third or fourth and if they're in that extra playoff round. Um, as mentioned, Thistle are fourth still, and they're now seven. As mentioned, 7 points clear of Morton and Reef, who are on 37, but they've got a game in hand. They play each other. Queens Park are seventh now. They're on 33 points, and that's what I was going to say. It's like they were in this fight for fourth about a month ago, and now they're 11 points off of Thistle, and they're 12 ahead of Airdrie. And at the rate they're going, it's it's more likely for Airdrie to catch Queen's Park than it is for Queen's Park to catch Thistle. And then Accies 28, Dunfermline 27, Airdrie 21. And you do feel with those three, it's like Airdrie have the best chance of finishing 8th. And that just feels mad to say. But it's like it really, really does depend on how it goes with fixtures against teams that aren't those bottom three when they're not playing against each other. And it's like I see Airdrie is more likely to pick up points against anyone that's not in that bottom three. As like Accies and Dunfermline, outside of playing against each other, I do not see them picking up more than 5 points. Like they're just awful, just really, really bad. And speaking of the fixtures, so next week's the big one is Friday night. Once again, Beef Rovers are on the telly because the BBC love us so much. We're away to Partick Thistle, so I'm sure we'll be able to get like a good podcast out of just going through the differing emotions of that game. And then on this Saturday, you've got Ayr at home to Hamilton, Greenock Morton at home to Queen's Park, and Falkirk at home to Airdrie. For whatever reason, Livingston and Dunfermline are not playing, which for Dunfermline fans is great. But as mentioned about the Morton and Rovers having a game in hand against each other, that's on the Tuesday, but we'll probably talk about that more on next week's podcast. So yeah, it's been great to be back, especially seeing as for once the two people who are on here have got to celebrate wins, and I get to celebrate a derby win again. Seeing as the last time we won a derby, we didn't get a podcast out, even though we recorded it. So if this doesn't go out, then there is corruption behind the scenes, and the guy who's the editor, Stu, he is a secret townie. That's just what it is. So anyway, thank you very much for listening or watching or whatever. And yep, we'll hope this time, I swear to God, this time we will be back next week. Goodbye.